there's been several concerns about proper behavior of board members, and we just want to make sure we're all on the same page. There's some seriously concerning stuff that I don't want to bring up right now, but we just want to get on the same page as to like the parameters of healthy conduct and what are effective measures to try to make our team be more cohesive during difficult times. So I'd like to open it up for a discussion from my team members. Does anybody have any comments or suggestions on the policy here?
Can we just have it read for the audience? If you don't mind, I know it's in bold letters.
Yeah.
It's just a paragraph.
Okay.
Yes, I will gladly do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
To ensure a safe and secure environment for all, board members have the responsibility to set policy that implement a comprehensive workplace violence prevention plan. This plan includes measures to prevent and respond to any acts or threats of violence against employees and board members to ensure their safety and well-being while performing their duties. Board members are also entitled to the same protections as employees, CCP 527.8, including the right to report incidents of workplace violence and to receive appropriate support and intervention, as well as legal support, LAB 6401.9, by conferring with the superintendent and legal counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Okay, any additional comments? Yes, Mr. Kwok?
Thank you, Madam President. My comment is simply that there are times when we have some very spirited situations here, right? And I don't take a position on one side or another. But what I will say, and this is where my comment is solely limited to, is that when we're here to do what we need to do for the kids that we have the primary responsibility for. All this other stuff is that can be done in a different form, but this is not the right form to do that. So my only thing is that the bylaws specifically make it clear that when we're here to do the community's work. We're here to do the work for our public education. We're here to do this for the future of our kids. There are other places where these other matters can be addressed. They should be limited to those places, should not intrude in the precious time that we are here together as a team with respect to the business at hand, which is the business of public education. Thank you very much. And with that, I yield back to you, Madam President.
Okay, yes, Ms. Quiñones?
I was reading this again today, and I think the writing is great, but who's going to hold us to the standards? For example, one of the paragraphs, it says to work with her fellow board members in spirit of harmony and cooperation in spite of differences of opinion that arise during discussion of issues. That's something that, in my opinion, we have not done, and we have to work on that. I think that the community, the students, the teachers, staff are looking to us for leadership, and at times I feel that we have failed them. I think we should, as a board, always have this ready and read it every time before we come to a meeting so that we remember what this is all about. And like Gino said, we're here for the students, we're here for the community. We have to make decisions with keeping everything fair and making sure that what we discuss in closed session stays in closed session. Things that are important, we need to be able to discuss it with one another without violating the Brown Act. But I think this is great writing. It's just a matter of how do we follow this going forward. Thank you.
And so I'll go ahead and contribute to this dialogue. I want the record to show that for over 2 years, I expressed concerns about workplace harassment here and on the record multiple times. And for over 2 years, I was denied workplace harassment protections. All the while, other board members were receiving legal representation for their concerns and their harassment. And so I want the record to show that, because my rights were violated, and just because it happened in the past doesn't mean that I have to forget it. And it doesn't mean that justice does not need to be served. Justice will be served, because if the bullying that happened to me is political bullying that happens in any city, USA, and this political bullying is unacceptable, that is breaking down the fabric of our American democracy, is a big issue. And so there's a difference when people come to this podium and advocate for equity, okay? And there's a difference when people come to this podium and lobby for political and private interest. And we've seen that here. We've seen people come and lobby for hotels or not motels. People come and lobby for political agendas, for schools being built, and then we don't comply to that political pressure, then we're harassed, and that's unacceptable. We have a bylaw here. We have a policy that says if people are harassing board members, that there is legal consequences. And thus far, those legal consequences have only been extended to people that come and advocate for equity. That is a real concern. We want people to be involved in the democratic process. We want people to be involved in the decision-making process. And what have we done? We have retaliated against community members and board members that all they did was volunteer to help make our district better. And then you want to convolute those same people with people that come just to disrupt our meetings for a political agenda. People that have engaged in Mexican-American hate against me and our community. And I have said it for over 2 years that I have experienced Mexican-American hate because of a group that comes here and lobbies and made a video and named themselves after one of our board members. And then instead of as a team intervening per this law of workplace harassment, I was further targeted. Okay. This is seriously concerning. And just because it happened in the past doesn't mean that we're going to forget. And in order to move forward, we have to heal. And in order to heal, we have to have the courage to discuss what has happened in our community, the harassment that we have experienced. And you cannot say, my followers, your followers. I challenge people to think critically that there's a difference between people that advocate for equity and people lobbying for board members. And then I was further attacked and retaliated by violating my freedom of speech, First Amendment right, saying I cannot say the word quack mafia. That is a word that people use as organized harassment against me. And then they want to claim that I was doing API hate. Man, this is a really serious matter. And just because we do a board policy today doesn't mean it's going to stop. And it doesn't mean there won't be accountability for what's happened, because all of that happened on the record. And this is very, very concerning. In Orange County, their new DA is actually taking measures against this because they see how there's this political bullying. And who wants to be part of politics if you're going to have professional politicians in their whole political scheme target us? Who's going to want to join politics? Nobody. Do you guys realize people have consequences when they're harassed? If you experience workplace harassment, that's traumatic. I haven't really felt the empathy for my team and the trauma that I've endured here. And so I'm going to seek accountability. And so when we do have these behaviors going on, like false allegations, libel, reaching out to children to protest, mental abuse of children to get them involved in their political lobbying. So we could do a censure. A censure, I don't think is an effective accountability. Because when you're doing libel, when you're doing slander, when you're doing harassment, that's against the law and there should be legal accountability. And so I want to see clear steps of accountability when harassment happens. To say that we're going to censure somebody, it's a joke because that behavior is going to continue. Okay, and so what should have happened in my case is there should have been a cease and desist on people doing this behavior. And when that behavior continued, there should have been legal representation by the district of me as an employee or whoever is being harassed to stop that behavior. People would have got the point. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get accountability so this kind of stuff doesn't happen because it's been happening like crazy. It's a serious issue in politics. Who's going to run if you have political bullies harassing you and your family, who's gonna run? Okay? How difficult is it to sit on a team with people that have harassed you and your family? Okay? I give myself credit every single day for showing up with my head high and acting with dignity. So does anybody want to contribute to this dialogue?
Like I mentioned before, we should have higher standards and bullying should not be accepted at any level. We should be the example to our community. And what I have seen in the past, I'm not happy with. I don't think we will ignore it going forward. Should there be accountability for those that participate in bullying? Of course. But currently, from what I understand, and if I'm not correct, Dr. Jimenez, please correct me, there is nothing out there that will make us accountable for our actions except for being censured, which is not satisfying to me. I think that if you are bullying your fellow board members, if you're violating the bylaws and so on, there should be some more accountability. And today, I don't see anything based on what I've read.
Actually, let's talk about accountability, right? So accountability is when someone's being harassed, then we send our lawyers to protect them, okay? And in that situation, we've had our lawyers protect Miss Salazar when she felt like she was being harassed. I believe Miss Loera met with our lawyers when she felt like she was being harassed. But I was denied that opportunity for over 2 years when I was being harassed on an ongoing basis. So to ask somebody like, oh, you give me the answer for accountability, we're giving our power away, and I don't give my power away, okay? So what should be happening is a cease and desist is set on someone that's doing libel, slander, harassment, okay? Because that's not bullying, that's against the law. There's a difference. And so you send a cease and desist to that person. And when that person continues that behavior, then our lawyers are going to press charges on that person because they're going to protect us from workplace harassment, okay? And I don't need to ask the superintendent. I don't need to ask the lawyer for that. I know that's within my right. And every day that I'm denied that, they're just showing that they're incapable of executing the workplace protections. Any other questions or comments? Okay, and so now I could have just said, you know what, I'm gonna sue the district because what I went through. No, I haven't done that. I never even, no. You know what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to put it into policy so this stops, so we can move forward as a community, okay? And I didn't say to just protect me, I said protect all of us. I didn't have a backdoor conversation only worrying about me. I said protect all of us from workplace harassment and whoever comes here in the future. That's the goal of this. So yes, there can be clear steps of accountability through a cease and desist and through legal representation of any board member that's being harassed. That's within our duty, that's within our right. We don't need to ask for that, okay? And when it's denied, then they're part of these problems as well. Then they're in collusion with that. So anyways, I think we got a good idea of the policy. We got the additions. For me, we need to have clear steps of accountability. A censure does not suffice. I outlined the clear steps right now like 2 or 3 different times, so I don't think we need any more details. Did you get it?